Hello, and welcome to How to Adapt Your Content for Universal Search. We are just waiting for people to jump into the room, checking and make sure our stream works. It says that we are live, so just checking to make sure that that's true. You should be able to comment. Let me know that you're here. I'll just be giving it a couple minutes to make sure everyone gets through. I'll just check and make sure that my mic is working and see that the sound comes through. And we'll just give it a few minutes for people to join. And if you registered in advance, you would see a link for today's deck. And it's also posted into the comments. So if you want to follow along on your own, I absolutely encourage you to do that. And we'll just wait for everyone to join. This is my first time using Restream, so if you have suggestions on how to do it better, then please let me know. But hopefully everything goes swimmingly. Just letting everyone filter in. And we'll get started in 3 minutes, so at 5 past. And as I said, this is my very first time using Restream, so if you have any tips, please do let me know. I believe the notification has gone out that we are live. So we'll just wait for everyone to join. And you can use the chat feature if you've got any questions. I do have the chat open and I will have a Q&A session. So you can feel free to use that. And we'll get started in 2 minutes. I believe I've managed to also connect my YouTube. So we should be streaming on YouTube as well. The channel is Creative Copy UK. And if I've managed to connect everything okay, that should be streaming too. And we'll just give it a couple more minutes for everyone to show up. Looks like everything is working perfectly, which is a good sign. Perfect. Just one more minute and we'll get started. Thanks so much for joining. Remember, if you do have any questions, you can pop them into the chat and I will answer them during the Q&A section. And if you join late, I will have sent you a direct message with a link to the deck. It is also in the chat as well, so you'll be able to access that. Okay, we're at 5 past, so let's get started. So welcome to How to Adapt Your Content for Universal Search. You will know that there are now many different types of search, uh, PSO, GEO, and the traditional SEO. So today we're going to be talking about how to write content that broadly appeals to all types of search, whether it's AI assisted or voice, and we'll also provide you with some examples. So my name is Amanda, and I can very eagerly also wave along with my gift. I am a full stack marketer, a copywriting solo entrepreneur, and an author. And I've been writing copy in this space for well over 6 years now. Prior to that, I was a marketer, head of marketing several times over in different roles across several different industries. So I have a pretty good handle on search engine optimization and what the algorithms are looking for. In today's session, what we're going to cover is first, what is universal search? Because it really is a term that I've coined to describe 3 different types of search that we're all dealing with now. The next topic that we'll look at is what is the state of search? So when you Google something, what are you actually seeing and how does that impact being able to find your brand? We'll also look at the benefits of ranking because some people may be abandoning all hope of getting to the top of SERP and instead planning to use other methods. Totally valid, but we'll just review the actual benefits of ranking. Then we'll talk about multitasking your content. So how can you make content that will broadly appeal across universal search methods? I'll give you some takeaway tips and 4 snappy, pretty easy to remember tips on what you need to do. And then I'll give you an example of universal blog content, so an article that I've written specifically to showcase all the ways that you can universally optimize your content. And last but not least, if we do have any questions, we'll jump into those. I'm going to keep this session very quick and snappy, so do let me know if you have any questions. And if you think of some later, you can always DM me on LinkedIn. So the first thing to jump into is what is universal search? So as I said, it's a term that I've coined to describe all the different types of search engine ranking position boosting strategies. So the very first one is search engine optimization. So that's SEO, that's what we all know. And broadly, you could include the other ones in there. However, there are different strategies used to appeal to the next 2 types of search, which is generative engine optimization. That's the new word that's been coined for AI overviews and AI assisted search. And then a voice optimization, which has been around for a little while. These are strategies for position 0, voice assisted, home automation, like the one from Amazon behind me. And universal search is just my way of describing content that serves all of these 3 ways of finding content and ranking content. So what is the state of search right now? And I'll just pause this little video so that you can see the exact layout of what we are dealing with. So previously, if you paid for your position using PPC, you would appear at the very top of Google above the organic search results, but that was it. Now we have a lot of things in the way. Uh, Now, last year, or sorry, several years ago, we got position 0, which is rich snippets, featured snippets. That is this little box called ways to generate leads here in this example search. But now that's been pushed down even lower by the AI overview at the top. So a lot of searches will now feature Google's AI overview powered by Gemini. And you can see the reference material is linked on the right-hand side. And that's even more compressed on a non-desktop view. So if you're looking at from where you actually type something into search at the very top here to when you actually start seeing results that are not generated by AI or Google's own algorithm, it's a long time. We're still going, and organic results have not yet been presented. The first time we actually see an organic result is right here, how to generate leads, 10 lead generation strategies from Salesforce. Then we get the people also ask box, and then we get more organic search. So you can see how the AI summary and the featured snippet are taking up lots of real estate. In fact, even if you pay for your results to be near the top, they don't actually show up till much lower in this list. You see the first one is right here. Now, all different search terms that you type in, they might have a slightly different presentation. Some of them will be only visible if it's a shopping lead. Some of them will be visible as like nonfiction explanatory content. But this is a pretty good example of the state of search and the type of presentations that we're seeing now that AI overview has been largely rolled out. So I guess that brings the question, why bother ranking? If search is now cluttered by AI, and even if you pay for search results, you are going to be much lower than before. Should you switch to other strategies? And to be honest, that is a personal decision between you and your finance manager. But there is, in my opinion, still some value to trying to rank organically in AI search and in voice search. And that is simply because you'll need to spend less money in the long run. Once you do achieve a ranking position for a particular keyword, it is fairly hard to get unseated. So that does give you returns for a fairly long time. And that means that if you need to advertise to people, then you won't need to purchase that traffic because you're already top of mind for whatever subject that you're trying to rank for. This also means that you'll be more likely chosen as a source for AI and voice assistant responses. So if you already have a good SEO like SERP, then it's more likely that AI, Gemini, Copilot, all these ChatGPT will actually find you from those results as well. Now, I will say it isn't a guarantee being in, say, the top 5 will net you in AI search results, and that's because AI is looking for a couple different things. But there is good news. There are things that you can do to make the content that you already have and the content you're going to produce in the future a whole lot better. So, what do they want? Multitasking your content is not as hard as it might sound. SEO, GEO, VSO, a lot of them want similar things. So this is an amazing table. All credit to the foundation for making this. I've just added on the right-hand side a little information about voice search as well. But let's just go through these top things that SEO, GEO, and voice are looking for and see how you could combine those. The first one is keyword integration, right? So SEO wants keywords in the titles and headers and body. GEO is interested having it within the body primarily, supported by stats and expert quotes. So we'll come back to citations later. Uh, they want you to optimize for authority and relevance. So having good backlinks, having good quality content that fully answers the question. GEO is looking for, once again, citations and authoritative sources. So both of them do value authority. Then they're looking for structure, skippability, and depth. So you have to remember that the algorithms want to parse your content. They want to understand what it is that you're saying. So this sort of skimmability and depth is really aided by using the built-in formats of, say, WordPress, for example. So using H1 headings, H2 headings, H3 headings, bullet points, concise paragraphs, all these things help the algorithm understand the purpose of each snippet of your content. So you can start at the top in like a pyramid format. So answer the question of the main topic of your article or landing page or whatever, answer that first, and then you can provide more detail as you go down. Next, then you want to include supported multimedia elements. So SEO, like images, infographics, videos, they like engage users, they increase time on page, they reduce bounce rate. But GEO, AI search is now actually being able to read images and understand the context of what's in them. Now, it doesn't actually read, it is comparing it to other things that it's seen on the internet and making decisions in context about its relevancy. But it does mean that multimedia is more important than ever before, not just for entertaining your human readers and visitors, but for enticing algorithms and giving them more context. And last but not least, for both SEO and GEO, you want to think about user intent and experience. So your search queries need to match the headline, need to match the content, need to match, everything needs to align.
don't try to keyword stuff or put a bunch of irrelevant information into a piece, a landing page, whatever, because that's going to reduce your engagement. It's going to increase your bounce rates. People are going to leave, and that will de-rank you in traditional search. The same thing happens with GEO, but we've seen with GEO that it wants sort of more detail, more information. So you want to answer the question and then think about tangentially what other things might branch off of that topic or that search term or that search phrase and include that as well in your copy. So if you've got really short pieces of blog content, say under 300 words, you might want to enrich them with 2 or 3 more details, more search terms to entice GEO to index you. Now, to hit voice as well, we want to have a natural conversation style that mirrors how people talk. So short sentences, short paragraphs, human language, not too fancy words. Generally, if you're from the States, you'll understand what I mean, but like a third grade reading level, this is sort of primary school stuff. And we don't want to be too terribly detailed because that will confuse the algorithms, confuse the bots, and make it more difficult for your site to get indexed properly. So what are some like quick takeaway ranking tips that you could run off with and use on your own blog, website, listicles, whatever you want to make today? What could you take away and use? So all kinds of search, like well-organized content with relevant keywords and stats. So well-organized content, actually using the proper formatting, so H1, H2, headings, subtitles, body copy, actually using those format indicators. When you apply that to a piece of copy in a visual editor, it's using HTML to put like brackets around it and apply that style in a way that the algorithms understand. So it's inspecting the page in order to find those elements to determine what is this page all about? What are the sub elements of this page? So if you're not using that, then you're providing like unstructured data for the algorithms to parse. And that's never anything that you want to do. The next is relevant keywords and stats. So prior to GEO, prior to AI, stats weren't that important. They were useful as like buying signals. They were useful as persuasion elements for sales copy. But if you had stats in blog or not, it didn't matter as much. Now we are finding, and it sort of makes sense, that computers, algorithms, AI minds are interested in authoritative sources and numbers. So you want to try to include those things in all of your pieces. If you don't have them in older pieces, you may want to go back, edit, and refresh them. You want to include backlinks. I know for a while that there was a bit of a trend away from including backlinks because people were worried about giving their traffic away to other brands or seeming less legitimate. That's not really so much of a concern anymore. Now you really do need to have backlinks. You do need to offer proof of statements that you're making if you actually want to get ranked. So those are just a couple of the technical format related elements that you need to include. Obviously, we want to be using like Google Keyword Trends or one of the other trend aggregators to find relevant keywords for your brand and use those. We also want to have shorter, more declarative statements with citations. Now, for a long time, there was a trend in SEO, and it still exists, to write with active voice. So things are happening, they are not going to be happening. And writing in an active voice tends to be more declarative anyway. So if you are following Yoast SEO Pro's active voice recommendations, etc., you are probably already doing this. Now, that doesn't mean that every sentence that you type needs to be declarative. In fact, that would be quite weird. However, shorter sentences, more compact ideas, less complex sentences, less use of lists within a sentence is probably going to be viewed better by AI. Might I also add that it's highly likely that AI content is looking to make sure that the words that you're writing are human generated and not AI generated. So if you're using things like colons, Oxford commas, uh, sentences with two descriptors connected by an and, those sort of things could read as AI, even if they're human generated, and they could impact your because AI content may not necessarily be seen as uh, content for the purposes of SEO and universal search. Next, we want to think about headings. Having those headings be the often searched questions with answers to follow them. So you can always add more detail, but ideally within the first, say, 50 words, you want to answer that question or respond to that headline. That's going to give you a better chance of getting position 0, getting in that featured snippet. And even better if you can throw a citation or a link or a stat in there, because then that's going to further increase the authority of your website in terms of AI search. And last, and I don't want to understate the importance of having a fast website, loads well, it doesn't have any bugs, and is optimized for mobile friendly. So we all know that people are mobile first these days, aside from business environments where people are on a desktop. Largely, the rest of our lives are spent on our phones, at least as a first point of call, if not through the entire customer journey. So really, mobile friendly is essential. It's not optional any longer. So those are some takeaway tips. If you want to write notes and just take those away with you, they should help you refine your universal search strategy. So in this piece, I've just done an example of all these recommendations for universal search optimizations, from citations all the way through to multimedia inclusion, to show you what that might look like. So I'm just going to pause and go through that in detail. So the first thing is a really popular search term. What does a copywriter actually do? Well, popular within my realm, of course. And this is formatted as an H2. You could use an H1, but I prefer H2. And I would use variations of this in the metadata, the slug, and the alt text. Then I have a short response right after that that answers the main question. So I'm not really teasing. I've referenced it. I'm giving them an answer, even though it's just hinting at the full answer I'm going to provide later. It does provide that detail. Next, I have an H3 formatted subheading with another popular search. What is a copywriter or copywriting agency for? And then I've once again answered the question in the immediate sentence. So a freelance copywriter or copywriting agency will specialize in crafting on-brand words that make people buy a product, sign up for a service, or keep people on your website longer. And then I provide more detail and go into exact, easy to read bullet points about some things that copywriters might offer. So you can see here, I've shown you two ways to do a citation. So the first one is a quote citation. So according to the NN group, and then I quote them on the statistic that quick and concise scannable content increases page usability by 50, I think 58%. That's very small on my screen. And then I showed you a different way to do that. This is like inline stats, where I've just put the quote, the link to the page inside a parentheses. There are even other ways to do this as well. You could just link within the sentence itself to the brand. So BT says that 40% of whatever. So you could do it that way as well. These are all examples of using citations and statistics. Bullet points make it easy and scannable to read. Then you'll see here, I've used multimedia to add to the story. So I'm talking about how copywriters might suggest content layouts, or they might be working to a wireframe. This supports the next part of the article that I'm going into, talking about what do copywriters do on a daily basis. So you can see here, I found this one from the People Also Ask section of Google. I've chosen the most relevant question for my piece, which is what do copywriters do on a daily basis. But I could have also chosen what are the duties of a copywriter, etc. What I wouldn't suggest is like what is the 80-20 rule of copywriting, because that's not really appropriate to the function of a copywriter. So you still need to use your best judgment on what human readers would actually care about, because that is also important to ranking and keeping your bounce rate low. So I describe what a copywriter does on a day-to-day basis. Then I provide a little call to action. with a way to book a quick chat with me. And then I ran it through a keyword density checker just to make sure that I had enough relevant keywords there at enough relevant density, and my main keyword is over 2%, but under 3%, so that's perfectly fine. I've got some secondary keywords in there. I'm happy with that, right? I don't want to over optimize. I want it to be very natural, and I'm happy with the flow there. So if I were to publish this, then I would put it up on the website, load it up with metadata, optimize the images that are not huge, and put some relevant alt text against it. So that is the general overview of universal search and how it can be used to appeal to all different ways that information is presented to people using Google and other search terms. If you do have any questions about that, my messaging is open, so please do send me a quick message. I would love to answer your questions and support you with this. If you don't have any questions, then that's absolutely fine. I would suggest that if you want to improve your writing this year, there is a very simple and easy book that you can buy. It's very small. You can get through it in a pen. And the copywriter's formula is help you craft your own tone of voice, write effectively, use AI tools properly, optimize for search like what I've just suggested, test and improve your copy, and create good headlines that will help you sell your product, gain traffic, and increase your following. So if that's something that you're interested in, if you have Kindle Unlimited, it's absolutely free. You just have a read. And if you want to purchase it, it's just a few quid on Amazon, and paperback and hardback are available. You click the link through in your deck to get that. And last but not least, if you want help with your content, then let's have a virtual coffee. Let's talk about what I can do for you. Sometimes it's nothing because you're already doing all the things I would suggest, or you already have talent in house. But I think it's always good to sense check your content marketing efforts and see if there's anything else that you could be doing or ways to enrich that strategy. And if you don't have time to meet, you can always just email me with a brief or questions, and I will be very happy to support you with that. So I really appreciate your time and attention as we went through this webinar. I hope that you got some value out of it. If you do have any further questions, you can always DM me on LinkedIn. You can email me at creative with an 8copyuk@gmail.com, or you can click through to my website, which is creativecopy.com, and I will be very happy to assist you with all of our copy content needs. So thank you so much for your time, and I'm very delighted that we managed to keep this webinar tight and succinct and to the point. We are ending just a few minutes before the half hour as promised. So please do reach out if there is anything I can support you with. Thank you so much for your time, support, and attention, and I will see you next time.